What's up YouTube? What's up world? This is Marky Mark back with another video and welcome to 2023. So this is the first video officially of 2023. So I just want to say Happy New Year and all the best to you and yours. Alright, so moving right on. As you can tell by the title of the video, we'll be talking about island living. Now, island living is something that I could say is more or less romanticized. Why do I say that? Because most of the time, when you come down or you think about an island, you think about, of course, being surrounded by water, tropical breezes, tropical atmosphere, tropical everything. You got the food, the nice music. Majority of the time when people come to an island, it's just for rest and relaxation. And you come here, you spend your money, and you go to different places, eat at certain places and so forth. And then you go back home and it's back to normal life. But you still have this lofty feeling in your head of how it was when you were on vacation. Matter of fact, the first day back to work and everything like that, you probably are saying to yourself, oh man, I wish I was on vacation still. But the truth is, for those of us who live here, it's not like we're on vacation 24/7. We work and we live here. So we have to do business. We have to take care of certain things. We still have life here. And life as it is here in the VI, unfortunately, is not how it would be or how you think it would be when you're on vacation. Growing up as a child, for example, you go over to your friend's house and you have dinner and stuff like that, and you're like, man, I wish that person so-and-so parents was my parents because they seem to have it all put together, man. I wish I could stay here. In all actuality, every family actually have their problems. Everybody actually has their issues, and everything is not hunky-dory. As I say, if you come down here on vacation, you most likely would be here just for a certain amount of time, and you don't get to see, you know what I mean, like the hustle and bustle and how busy and stressful it can be living here, even on an island. All right, so I'll be back right after the intro drops. Well, first off, let me mention, I just was counting in my head, and basically I've lived on an island for more than half of my life. There was only about 13 years total in which I lived in the States, and after that it's always been island life. So grew up, born, raised. I went away for a little while in the States and now been living officially back on the island for about 13 years also. And so being on an island, we don't produce anything here basically, especially in the Virgin Islands. So there's nothing that I use or consume that literally is made here, except for a few things. Like if you go to market, as I've mentioned, or as you may have seen in a couple of my videos, there's a market downtown every Saturday, and there's some vendors who sell their local produce that you could buy, coconuts, vegetables, and whatever have you at the local farmers market and so forth. 9 times out of 10, the things that do come from the local supermarket are actually shipped here to the Virgin Islands. Based that you have to pay for shipment to get to the Virgin Islands for it to come down on a ship and so forth. Of course, the cost of everything is going to be higher than what you would normally pay in the United States mainland, where things are actually produced. They have farms and so forth, and the stuff could still come on transportation, but not have to be shipped down here, which shipping is a much higher cost than having it sent on a semi-trailer across country or whatever, or from a farm in another county or so forth, depending what state you're living in. So a lot of things, as you've seen in my other video where I talk about groceries, are very expensive. And that's the main reason. Even if it's not groceries, whatever merchandise, you have to buy furniture, you have to buy X, Y, and Z just for normal living. It's always going to be more expensive. In talking about that, let's say, for example, chances are if you have to bring a car down here to the island, and that's what I would recommend, even purchasing a car off island and spending about $1,500 to get it shipped down here and so forth. There are always taxes that's going to be added in, unless it's a US car, of course. But if it's a foreign car, they charge you taxes for that as well, for bringing it in. Their import, their excise tax. Oh, well, there's taxes period, and there's customs duty that is level against whatever you're bringing in if it is a foreign car. So overall, there's always a lot more money that you'll be spending just for living on an island itself. And as I mentioned, another thing was that you would want to make sure you have a good job living down here. If you are retired, hopefully your retirement pays you more than about an average of at least $2,000 per month in order to stay down here if you're living by yourself, and it could quadruple that if you're living with a spouse and a family and so forth. So you can imagine things down here are very expensive. So aside from the fantasy and so forth, the cost, as you will see also, you're not just paying tourist prices. We have to pay those same prices too when we go. It's like they don't give you one price as being a tourist, or give you another price, give me another price since I'm local down here. That's not how it works when I go to the convenience store or local grocery store, as you may have seen when you came down here in your state. So we basically use the US currency down here, and we do pay taxes. We only pay federal taxes, which always comes back to us. Whatever is paid out comes back to the Virgin Islands government. We don't pay sales tax, but it's kind of built into the cost of everything. When the merchants basically get charged, they get charged taxes, excise tax and so forth, and they more or less build that into the price of whatever you're purchasing as well. So that's why I was saying the price of a lot of things are expensive, more expensive than you would find it in the States. Even though you're paying 7 or let's say even as high as 10% tax, sales tax for something in the States, it 9 times out of 10 will still be cheaper than what we're paying down here, because there still is the added taxes that the merchants add in as a pass-through tax basically, and also for having to ship the item down here. Those items will generally cost more. If you have a car down here, we're like the States, you basically have to have full coverage on your vehicle in case you get into an accident. I would recommend personally, if you have a vehicle, depending on the condition of the vehicle, if it's 10 years or older, just put your limited liability on it. And depending on the condition, if it's in pretty decent condition, still keep the full coverage on it if you can afford it, of course. Insurance is very, very high down here. There are only like 1 or 2 companies, and then hopefully you have USAA. I come from a military background, so definitely I have USAA, which has helped. That's the insurance that I currently have. Okay, and as I mentioned, when it comes to food, it's going to be very expensive to get food down here when you go to the grocery stores. I would suggest still for the local produce and so forth that you could go down to the local farmers market. I add that as a personal suggestion as well, because you may have heard it on 1 or 2 of my other videos. It's good to know where your food comes from, instead of the food being processed food, number one, or having to get the refrigerator on its way on its long journey down here, because it takes from Miami coming on a ship, it takes about 2 to 3 days for a ship to get down here. So once again, your best bet is to go to the local farmers market and you have fresh food and produce that's been in the garden like the day before. So, and even better yet, you could start, if you have your own land, you could start planting and have your food or your grocery store right in your front yard or backyard, whichever way you have it. Well, when it comes to electricity, we have the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority, better known as WAPA. And unfortunately, in terms of, now I must give them props and say they have gotten better. There was a CEO that they got rid of last year, as a matter of fact, and things have gotten better. I'll give props, you know me, I give honor where honor is due, and things have gotten better since the time this CEO has come in. He's been more transparent and so forth. And for the year, what's today? The 3rd? We haven't had a power outage yet. Well, I haven't experienced a power outage yet. So I must say we going good on that aspect. And hopefully it gets better. And but living on an island, we have to generate our own electricity. We're not like in the States where you're tied into a grid. where part of the grid goes down and you have a backup company that could provide you with generation and so forth. When a generator goes out or part of the circuit or a feeder goes down, that's it. Everybody loses power. And 9 times out of 10, sometimes, depending on what it is, if one generation unit goes down, it causes the whole plant to go down and so forth. 9 times out of 10, believe it or not. And so it's not good. If you are living on or even while you're vacationing on the island, there are chances that you may experience a power outage. If you're in one of the major hotels or Airbnb that has a backup generator, you wouldn't really notice it, but you may experience a power outage while you're down here, even on vacation. But for us living here, it's sometimes, let me say, a monthly thing, more or less, that you could expect from month to month, at least once a month now, I'll say, you can expect to experience a power outage. Now, when it comes to power outage, I'll say down here has what I call term dirty power, where the power fluctuates a little bit more than usual. It's not that stable. You'll see the lights dimming sometimes and so forth. And that stuff is actually harmful. We get brownouts and so forth. And that stuff is actually more harmful than an actual blackout. It damages your equipment, your refrigerator, your TVs, and different appliances in your house. And that will put you in more debt. So once again, that's another headache of living in the islands, where you might have some of your appliances go out and they have a little notice on the back, at the back of your utility bill saying that they're not responsible for any damages to your devices. But so much to say, that's my spiel when it comes to electricity. I live in the islands, a little bit of headache. Okay, I've also mentioned in one of my last videos dealing with island time. They have a lot of people who laid back, being that we live in the islands, a lot of people are laid back. They carry that laid back attitude on over into business, where they're taking their time doing stuff. I ain't gonna lie, I was at a movie theater the other night. During the busy time, one of the busiest movies of the holiday season, I went to watch, Avatar Way of Water. And there were 3 theaters showing at the time, including a 3D. The line was so backed up, almost out the door for the concession. They only had one person working the cashier at the concession. So much to say, you know what I mean? It was taking each person over a half hour just to get through that line and get some popcorn and stuff like that. So it's ridiculous, you know what I'm saying? That you can see that you're backed up, but you can't call or have an additional employee jump on another cash register so as to help the flow of things, or even to ask another employee to come in or so forth. So that's why I'm saying. And those employees who are working were taking their sweet time as well. You would probably take your car in to get fixed. Depending on what you're doing, especially if you have to deal with anything with government, make sure you take the whole day off to do that. Because me, myself, one time when I had to get a VI license, transfer my stateside license to a VI license, man, I was in there from 8 o'clock in the morning. I promise you I didn't get out till 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, I must mention the DMV or BMV has moved to another location, and last time when I had to go register my car, they got me in and out within 30 minutes tops. And so that was sweet. So maybe stuff along those lines has changed as well. I haven't gone in to do the license process or anything like that, but I can just speak for what my experience has been, and the last time that I went, they have been pretty good. But dealing with some of the other government offices, depending where you have to go pay taxes, excise taxes, whatever it is, yeah, you would run into some problems and so forth as well. Even when it comes to one of the major things is healthcare. I always tell people, as I told them on one of my videos, make sure if you're living down here, they have several, I think they have about 3 companies that provide air ambulances to flight you out of here in the event that you end up in a hospital and it's something serious, that you can be flown out of here, and versus dealing with the healthcare at the local hospitals. They more or less would handle basic things, but it's something serious, you would want to make sure that you have air ambulance insurance and stuff like that your health insurance does cover air ambulance itself as well. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to cover in terms of living on an island, it will be transportation. I would recommend that you get your own transportation. Because 9 times out of 10, wherever you're living on the island would be not close to public transportation. Public transportation only runs like from 6 in the morning till 6 in the afternoon. That includes the safaris too. They stop kind of running around 7 o'clock at night. After that, like USOL, I mean, there's nothing much you could do unless you call a friend to drop you here, there, and everywhere. So if you don't have that, we don't have any Uber. The Taxi Association been fighting that down tooth and nail. So I don't see the chance of that happening anytime soon. Only other option is if you have a personal like taxi driver. And then even then that could become very expensive. So I would recommend that you purchase your own vehicle. As I also said, purchase it from the States, have it shipped down here. Also, not even purchase it from the States. Let me say, a more inexpensive alternative would be to get it from next door in Puerto Rico. So check out the listings in Puerto Rico for vehicles for sale. You could put it on the boat to come over from Puerto Rico and it'll cost a lot less. One more thing that I'd like to mention is the state of the roads. The roads, seeing that we live on an island, we get frequent rains, which wash away the asphalt and so forth. And it takes a while for the government to come around and patch up those potholes. So you're gonna have to watch out. There's a popular bumper sticker that says, "I'm not drunk, I'm just swerving to avoid the potholes." And honestly, that's how it is down here. The government takes so long to fix up the roads. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna hit a pothole and they're gonna mess up your car. Every time you hit a pothole, I've hit several potholes. Within the course of a month, I hit some potholes so hard, right? Sometimes, oh my goodness. Like you could get instant headache sometimes, how hard you hit some of these potholes. And some of them just seem to pop up overnight. I think we even have moving potholes, to be honest with you. Because you swerve in and you still hit the pothole. You be like, how I did that? I swerved so far to avoid the thing. But more or less, the roads down here are very bad. So I suggest also, if possible, getting an SUV or a truck, something that could really take the roads and still be ready, have a little bit of money put aside every month for taking care of your car and servicing it. Because shocks and all these other things, your front end, the bushings, your sway bars, your what do you call it? Not only your tie rod ends, but your control arms go out pretty often because you're going down, going up hills, and all that stuff erodes away, and plus you have the salt in there and so forth. So much to say, when you come down here, 9 times out of 10, it'll be beautiful and everything like that. Y'all don't get to see the horrors of it. Living here and working, my job is fine. I love my job. I love what I do. And, but as I say, when it comes to like dealing with other people, going into other businesses and so forth like that, as I said in one of my videos, customer service down here is non-existent. There are some companies, new companies that open up, and yeah, they do know a thing or two about customer service, so you can actually get customer service there. But for the most part, a lot of people, they carry those laid-back attitudes and actually some nasty attitudes sometimes with them to work. And because they're not having a good day, I guess they feel you must not have a good day also. So that would basically be my spiel overall on living on an island, or island living in the Virgin Islands in 2023. The governor has just recently got back in for another 4 years. Hopefully things are going to be on the up and up, and he will be able to use these last 4 years to make them memorable ones in terms of going above and beyond his call of duty, making sure that, the roads are fixed and stay in repair. Making sure that the government agencies that we do go to do what they're supposed to do and get to move faster. Possibly the only department that I know is the police department that has a thing where you could say how you're doing and put in a report of how they're doing. But I think every government agency should literally have a number you could call or so forth so the general public can report on and give follow-up and stuff like that on how their experience was going to that office and so forth. Because only then can we then take that information and put it to good use in helping us to move forward as a whole and as a people down here in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Okay, so that's been my spiel. once again on living in the Virgin Islands. If you guys make the choice to move down here, I welcome you. Island living is not for everybody, because I know a lot of people who move down here and after a couple months they crying and they run back to wherever they came from. They just say if you can make it up there in New York, you can make it anywhere. Honestly, if you can make it living down here in the VI, you can make it anywhere. Promise you that, okay? Because it's not easy living down here in the VI, all right? But you love it. It's something, it's like an acquired taste, okay? Once you learn to get the hang of it and everything like that, the island living, and you love it, trust me, you'll be here for the rest of your life. You won't love it anywhere else, and you may be encouraging other people, just as I am, to come down here as well, okay? I especially love to invite all of our Virgin Islanders who have moved away to move back to the island, start a business, and let's make this place wonderful than it has ever been before. All right, peace out. As I love to say, make sure you move your mark on the world.